And welcome to another session of Let's Get Real with Mona. That's me, Mona Naidoo. I'm an abundant living coach, an executive, mentor, and women's empowerment mentor, a philanthropist, a human behavior specialist, an international and inspirational speaker, and an advocate for humanity. So thank you for joining me. In these sessions, what I do is I share stories and teachings to inspire you to turn your dreams into reality. So please do let me know where you're joining me from, whether you're watching this live or you're catching the replay. Now, are you ready for today's session? But before we go into it, have you been feeling the stirring that's been happening? Do you also feel that we are on the precipice of something, well, to say the least, revolutionary? Are you feeling that? Something magical is unfolding. Now, for some of you, it may be a bit scary because what you're sensing is very new. You're sensing an energy of creativity, of newness. And when we haven't fully been in that space, it can feel uncomfortable. So I wanted to take this opportunity today to just remind you that whatever is unfolding is truly for the highest good of all of us concerned. It may not seem like that right now. It may look a bit chaotic wherever you are in the world. And right here in South Africa, well, in Johannesburg, in my area, in Bedfordview, we've had some interesting experiences over the last couple of weeks. We've either not had water and electricity, or we've not had water on some days, just water, or we've not had electricity on some days. So it's been quite interesting journey over the past couple of weeks. And if you know me by now, Vis and I, well, we just go with the flow because we know that what's happening isn't happening to cause us frustration. It's changing. And when change happens, well, the scum comes to the surface. Just think about the ocean. You know, when it's churning out and throwing out all the garbage that comes in. Well, it can be quite heavy waves that come up. So that's how we get to experience this life, and we don't get pulled into the negativity of it. And I'm going to encourage you to do the same, no matter where you are in the world and whatever's happening. Now, leading on to today's topic, it's divine timing. And in this session, well, we're going to talk about divine timing, and I'm going to guide you to look at some things, signs that where divine timing is working in your life, what to be mindful of, and how to use divine timing in your life when you want to manifest. Now, have you come across the concept of divine timing? I'm sure if you're watching this video, if you are in my communities, you would have come across this term. But if you're new to it, well, let me share a quote with you before we go into the teaching of today. So this quote is by Lisa, and I think this is how you pronounce her surname. It's Bevere. It's spelled B-E-V-E-R-E. Depends whether you're French or you're pronouncing it with a very Western accent. It could be, Bevere, Bevere. Well, you decide. Lisa Bevere. And this is her quote. Sometimes arriving too quickly is detrimental. It is dangerous to arrive without our character mature or intact. So when you look at divine timing, in its simplest form, what it means is that everything is happening exactly when and as it is supposed to happen. But it's more so about when it is happening. Now for me, when I look at divine timing, I say it like this. You're at the right place at the right time, to meet the right people, to have the best experience you can have. Now, how does that land with you, right? Because it's like everything's orchestrated. Oops, that's my doggy barking because she does not want to be indoors. And it's been raining a little bit here in Johannesburg. So you're going to hear a lot of noise. And as this is a live, I cannot run off and go bring her out and come back to the live. And yes, there's nobody else at home today. So these are exciting times and we've got to work with it. So I'll speak a little louder so her voice doesn't overpower mine. And I guess this is what divine timing is, right? She's woken up from her sleep, and this is my beautiful little dog, Patty Coco, who is challenged with her eyesight. So that's why we keep her in a safe place, but she does not like being inside. So let's get back on with divine timing. Now, as I said, it's being in the right place at the right time to meet the right people, to have the best experience that is there for you. And yes, the universe is orchestrating all of this, right? Now, sometimes we don't want to fully acknowledge that. We believe that because we have free will, we are in control of everything. And I guess sometimes we must humble ourselves to realize that there's a grand plan. There's something bigger and more vast than us. You know, we have free will in certain things up to a certain point. But our birth and our death, if you weren't aware of it, is already predetermined, right? And if we have time in a later video or a later session, we can talk more about that, about how we choose when to come and how to come and what to do. But for today, let's just work on divine timing. So some of the signs to be aware of that divine timing is happening in your life, you know, it's like deja vu moments that you feel like you've already been in a place or you've already done something. Have you felt that? And it's been happening more and more recently, right? Many people have been sharing this with me. Another sign to watch out for is seeing what people call angel numbers. You know, you see 1111, or you'll see 555, 444. So whatever it is for you, you may see symbols, sacred symbols or signs. You may have intuitive guidance. You may have clairvoyant dreams. You may just feel so supported and guided, right? Now, have you noticed these things in your life? Have you been taking the time to see this, to be aware of this? Now, I'm sure you felt like at certain times your goal or your intention just manifests very easily. And I'm sure that at certain times you have felt like, when is it going to happen? You know, it's like that child sitting in the car that's saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? I don't know about you, but in the past, I used to be like that. Even as an adult. It's like, when is this going to happen? Why hasn't this happened yet? Now, this is where, you know, we have to take a step back. We have to really connect with the concept of divine timing. Because it doesn't matter whether you are a highly spiritual person or you've been, you know, in the space of understanding spiritual concepts and practices and working with them. There's this human side of us that comes in the way. There's this human side of us that comes in and tells us that we must have everything now. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's that same human side that says, well, why is it taking so long? And the universe is guiding every step. Getting frustrated doesn't help the process, doesn't help the manifestation, because we're so focused on getting something that we don't realize that there's things happening around the creation of what it is we want to manifest. You know, certain things have to come into place, certain things have to be aligned. And I guess that's why I teach about aligning to your abundance. You know, you don't just think about something and voila, it just appears. Eventually, we will get there. But for now, we're still practicing. We're still aligning to it. Now, here are some things that you have to be aware of when you're wanting to manifest about, and when you think about divine timing. You see, we mustn't get tunnel vision. And what do I mean by not getting tunnel vision? You see, what can happen is that we can be so focused on this goal. We're so focused on achieving something. Say you want to write a book, and that's all you go after, just focusing on that. And then things maybe come on the way. Maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you want to go move to another country. Maybe you want to have a relationship. And what happens is that it's almost like we get fixated on something, that other beautiful things are happening around us. And even though things aren't moving the way we would like for them to move, we don't allow a moment to breathe. You see, we're so fixated that we don't see the beauty around us. So this is how the universe works as well. We can set a goal that's quite big. And as you know by now, there are these little milestones as we go towards this big goal. And sometimes the universe wants you to have little successes, because every time you have a little success, it motivates you, it inspires you to go forward. So little detours will come along the way to just take you to go take a break, go have some fun, to do something that will spark your creativity. So that's what having tunnel vision is, to be aware that we must be mindful that we are not putting ourselves in that space where we are, just focusing on one thing and not allowing other things to be created in our life. Now, the next one is to remember, when it comes to divine timing, that there are seasons for everything. That when we manifest, there are seasons for everything now, like the seasons work around us, the cycles work around us in our physical life. We have summer, we have winter, we have autumn, and we have spring. Now that is how manifesting and divine timing works with manifesting as well. There's a time we plant a seed. There's a time we nurture and water. Then there's a time for harvesting, reaping the benefits of it. So divine timing works just like that. So just think about it. You plant a seed and how you see the seed evolve into the plant that it is, or whatever it is that it blossoms into. So it's the same for our dreams and our goals and whatever it is we want to manifest. Now, the other thing to be aware of is to see the universe as a helpful guide. Remember, the universe is always pointing us towards something. The universe is either asking us to stop, to pause, to move forward. And if we don't listen or pay attention to the signs, then we're either not going to be taking action when we are being guided to, or we're going to be pushing and forcing when the universe is saying, stop, take a break, hang on, allow something to flourish a bit, allow something to germinate, allow something to rise a bit. before you can take the next step. So we must be paying attention to the universe and seeing the universe as a guide. Now, sometimes another thing that happens is that the universe will bring you something that your ego says that you are not ready for. Now, how many times has the universe brought you something and you may have said, no, 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 I can't do that right now. I can't write a book, for example, because I don't yet have enough experience, or I can't become a coach because I haven't got that certification or qualification to be a coach, or I can't go out and open a business because I don't have certain things in place. Now, the universe will put you into a place. The universe may even say, here, go ahead, jump ahead, and do this course instead of believing you have to start at the bottom. Because here's the thing. The universe knows more than our ego does, right? The universe knows when we are ready. We may not feel that we are ready, so sometimes we may become uncomfortable in taking a bold step, but the universe will bring it and put it right in front of us. And what I'm encouraging you to do is not to stay in that space of fear, but to understand that you have exactly what it takes to enjoy that manifestation, or to serve, the full course of that manifestation, whatever that is for you. Then the other thing to be aware of is to not be attached to the outcome. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had to practice that one quite a bit, and I would say it's going to be continual practice for me. It's to surrender when you have an intention or a goal or a big dream or a desire. It's surrender to it manifesting in your life. And don't be so hung up on it showing up in a specific way. Because remember, with every manifestation, I hope you're listening to this one, with every manifestation, it's not so much the thing, the object that we are after. It's the feeling that that object or thing or person brings to us. Because what we are actually seeking is the feeling. So the universe may find another way to bring it to you, or maybe not right now. Remember what the quote was that I just read to you? Is sometimes we have to build character. We have to be mature enough to receive what's coming our way. So don't be attached to the outcome. Like, I said it's going to happen in a month, and now it's not happening in a month, so I'm frustrated and throwing a tantrum. No, the universe does not like crybabies. I hope you know that. Right? So be aware that the universe will constantly be giving you signs that you are cared for, you are supported, you are loved, that you are not alone on this journey. That even though it may seem that it's challenging, even though you may feel that nothing's working, because remember, I want to go back to the seed. When you plant a seed, when you plant a seed, you don't keep going and digging the ground to see whether it's going to, eventually bloom. You don't do that. It's the same when you're baking bread. You trust the process. And I guess this is what divine timing is about. It's about trusting the process and paying attention to the signs. And when we can be aware of when we have goals, desires, and intentions coming from the ego versus from our soul, we'll know whether we are following our heart or whether we're following our mind. Because remember, our truest desires, our truest intentions, the goals that we set that come from our soul, you'll notice that even though there may be challenges or obstacles on your path, you'll find that there's a lightness of spirit. And that's how you know that you kind of, and this is what letting go is. There's a lightness of spirit. You haven't let go because it's like, oh, throwing your arms and it'll happen whenever. There's a lightness of spirit because you're trusting the process. You're trusting that when you add yeast, that dough is going to rise. You're trusting that when you plant that seed, at some point, it will pop out and the shoots will come out from the ground. You're trusting the process, right? Now remember, one of the fundamental things about working with the universe is stop forcing things, right? Stop forcing things. Allow the process to evolve, right? Be patient, right? Be patient with yourself. Be patient with the universe and avoid over planning. Now, I am someone who wanted to know, well, I think deep down in the background, that type A personality is still there. I don't know if you are one. If you are, let me know if you're a type A personality. But that's what I've had to be working on. I had to know every single detail. So can you imagine me like setting a plan and expecting the universe to show up at every juncture, to show up? And then it's like, okay, it's divine timing. And when I look back and I look at when things occurred, right? I wasn't forcing or pushing. I was in flow with it. So over planning, yes, we always plan. But don't get like hung up about it. Don't become so pedantic about the tiniest little detail. Now wait, when you're visualizing, you have to be, looking at the tiniest little detail of what it is you want to manifest. But what I'm talking about is we can become a bit obsessive, if you know what I'm talking about. So that's what you want to avoid. Avoid that type A personality when you're dealing with divine timing and you want the universe to support you. And here's what the universe loves for us to do. We say this or something better. Because the universe will always bring us what is best for us, what we need at that time. Remember, we may want something, but the universe always delivers what you need. Right? And I've had so many experiences of this. Sometimes I think I want something, but I get something else, and I may have just been a bit upset about it when I received it, and then when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. It was exactly what I needed at that time. Right? Now, when I think about the past couple of experiences of divine timing, last year when I was in the space of how does one really teach the concept of love, which is the fifth element, which was downloaded to me on the 30th of October 2019, standing on the banks of the Yamuna River across from the Taj Mahal. Right? It was like about 6 o'clock in the morning, if not earlier, because we went there pretty early in the morning to go watch the sunrise. And when it was like, what is this fifth element? Because a few days before that, someone had said to me, you are here to work with all 5 elements. And I wondered, I only know 4 elements. What are you talking about the fifth element? And that was when it was downloaded. Was that trip planned? No. Did Vis happen to hear about it from somebody else at the hotel? Yes. And within a matter of hours from the previous night to the following morning, which was my birthday, by the way, Vis arranged all this. Now, I could have been lying in bed when Vis is coming to me at 5 o'clock in the morning and says, get up quickly, get dressed, we're going to go somewhere. I have a surprise for you. Right? I got in and this was what happened. Then last year, because over these years, I'm like, how do I work with this fifth element? What am I to do with it? And then there again, we said, let's just pop down at the Sushi Foundation, which had just opened last year in Bedford View. So we go there. And when I walk into the space, have you had that experience? When you just go into a space, you know that you have arrived home, whatever that means for you. You know that in that exact moment, you are in the right place. That's what happened for me. And I learned about how love was being used, how love was being used to create such amazing results around the world. And here's the interesting thing. This NGO has been around for 58 years. And I only found out about it, I think it was August last year, in Women's Month in South Africa. Now for me, all that's very significant. When it happens, how it happens, what's happening in that space at that time. Because it's women taking love into the world. So that message came to me at exactly the right time. Now, when I think about the most recent experience, just 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we went and we arranged a lunch date with one of our dear friends, Lisa. And then she brought her mom and dad along with her, and Lynn and Chris. And we sat there and we had the most amazing lunch. It was fabulous. We had the most amazing, soul-inspiring conversations, with beautiful people. And then it so happens that Lisa shared that she was doing a breathwork session on that Sunday, which we were there on the Friday, on the Sunday. I go there. Now, before I went there, I was thinking, I've got to find somewhere close by where I can start having workshops, in-person workshops, because that's what I love. I love doing in-person events. And so when Lisa said this, and coincidentally, Lisa had 2 spots left for her breathwork session. And what do you think I said? Yes, sign us up. So she immediately asked that they book those 2 spots for us. And then we go there on that Sunday. And we have the most amazing experience. I find the perfect location. But what's even more beautiful, being surrounded by such amazing souls. Because you see, any experience that we have, it's not just about us, it's about who's in that container. So Lisa, being the phenomenal facilitator that she is, created this space and brought all these other beautiful people into that space. And there we connected with another person who is a digital nomad, going around the world, living in different places. It's exactly what Vis and I want to do. She's South African. She has a daughter, a teenage daughter, and she was being homeschooled. And they're traveling all over the world. She's offering her service. And she gets to be in different countries for a couple of months at a time. I'm like, yes, I actually have met someone who's doing this. Now, can you see how divine timing works? I didn't plan it, right? I could have done the best I could, but I didn't plan anything. I just listened. I followed. We looked at the time worked. No frustration, no irritation about why it didn't happen then. Why is it only happening now? It's going with the flow. And the most beautiful things emerge from it, the most beautiful connections. I met a wonderful young woman at that breathwork session with Lisa, and we've connected. Now I'm going to her factory where she has 100 women working in her factory, and I'm going there. I believe my date is on the 16th to go see her, to go visit her factory and to connect with these amazing women that she works with. So that's what came from that. So me working with women, empowering women, is coming more and more to the fore. So right now, when you think about how divine timing has been working in your life. Have you been able to see and notice the synchronicities? You know, maybe there's been frustration. And I guess it's the perfect place right now to talk about spiritual bypassing. Have you heard that concept before? Well, if you haven't heard it, basically what spiritual bypassing is, you see, we may have visions or a knowing that something's going to happen. So you're going to know that you're going to come into a large sum of money. And what some people would do is they would just sit there and they would wait for this to happen. Or then you'd get other people like, oh, well, I know that I have to be a best-selling author. And they would push and force. So spiritual bypassing is like either being too much in the feminine or too much in the masculine with the intention of achieving something. And what can happen is that we want to skip some processes. And usually with spiritual bypassing, we don't take the most aligned action. We're either not taking action or we're taking the wrong action, right? So it's about coming to the center, that there's a balance, there's harmony between what we do and how we be, the masculine and the feminine. You see, to create anything, there has to be some form of action. But when you take aligned action, and when you take aligned action that is part of divine timing, well, that's when magic happens. Now, I can go on and talk about this topic of divine timing for hours, because really there's so many examples of this in my life. And if you've been following my other sessions and teachings, you would hear me talk about different things at different times. And really, it's been practice for me. It really has. Especially when you are able to see the future, when you know what's possible for yourself and for others. That A-type personality can come in and wants to make it all happen immediately. But sometimes we have to trust and know that when it happens, you will be prepared for it. And also to trust that if for whatever reason you thought something's going to happen way in the future, and if it happens sooner than that, accept it, right? Accept it and receive it with love. Because here's what the universe wants from you, right? To know that you, whatever it is that you're seeking, right? Allow it to unfold in the most magical way. And I'm going to end with this quote. The universe, and this is by Letitia Koto, the universe has the most beautiful plan for you. Allow it to unfold in divine timing. You cannot rush magic. So I'd love to know from you, what resonated with you today? I'd love to know what you think about divine timing. Do you believe in divine timing? What experiences have you had when you just saw divine timing work magically in your life? So until next time, ciao for now.